Today I wanted to do an experiment using the Instant Pot to cook some dried beans and measure the power and energy required to cook those beans. Then we will talk a little bit about the size of portable power station and inverter needed to use the Instant Pot off-grid or during a power outage. Finally, we'll talk about recipes that can be using these chickpeas, and I'll do a very short demonstration of making lemony chickpea soup and include the recipe. Now for a little history on the Instant Pot. Pressure cooking was actually invented in 1679 by physicist Dennis Papin. In 1939, the National Company, also known as Presto, introduced their pressure cooker for home use. Presto still makes pressure cookers today. Then along came smaller stovetop pressure cookers, and then finally the electric pressure cooker. There are many different manufacturers of them. I have an Instant Pot that I'll be using today in our video. This is a view of the Instant Pot control panel. It has many different functions on it, including saute and pressure cook. Then on the left are some additional functions that many of the Instant Pots have. There are many different manufacturers of electric pressure cookers. I used a 3-quart Instant Pot, which is the smallest one that they manufacture. It took a total of 1 hour and 25 minutes to cook the beans from when I turned the unit on until they were ready to eat. The time at pressure was actually 45 minutes, so that extra time was heating the pot up on the front end and cooling it down on the back end. The good thing about this is it's totally hands-off. To cook the chickpeas, a total of 249 watt hours were used. The maximum power that was used at any one time was 680 watts. There are many portable power stations that would be able to run the 3-quart Instant Pot. Here are some of the power stations that have an inverter that is at least 700 watts. This 700 watts is needed for using a 3-quart Instant Pot. The EcoFlow River Pro, the EcoFlow River Pro, both provide that 700 watts, as well as a Jackery 1000, a Blue Eddy EB55, and a Blue Eddy EB70. This is a graph of the power and energy usage by minute for the 3-quart Instant Pot that I used. If you look along the top of the graph, if you look at the first segment, that's where the Instant Pot is building up pressure so that it can then cook. So the blue line represents the power being used. So it immediately shoots up to around 700 watts, which is the required amount of power to run this particular electric pressure cooker. Then if you look down at the minutes, you'll see kind of a green line that goes up and down a little bit. That's the energy per minute being used. And if you take each of those minutes and add them up as you go and accumulate energy per minute, you'll end up with that red line. So the red line is the cumulative energy in watt hours. So you can see how it's accumulating over time as we go. The red bar up at the top is the cooking time. We used 45 minutes for this. And you'll see a little note that along the top as well, in that red section up at the top for the cooking for 45 minutes, we only used 50 watt hours. If you look over to the left where we have the multicolored bar up at the top, you'll see that we use 200 watt hours in the first 20 minutes. That's because it takes the most energy to build the heat and pressure, and then once it's obtained, there's very little power and energy needed. These next 15 seconds or so, you'll see different stages that the Instant Pot goes through with setting the time, going through the sequences, and I collect the data. Chickpeas are quite high in protein, as well as being great for a meatless meal or in addition to your meal for a side. Here are some recipe ideas using chickpeas. Today we're going to be cooking the chickpea lemon soup, but I have made all of these with chickpeas that I've cooked from both scratch and from canned chickpeas, and all of them turned out great using either type of chickpea. Here's the recipe for the soup we will be making. Feel free to take a screenshot. I will also include the recipe in the description box. The ingredients that we'll be using in the soup. In this particular version, I used both chickpeas and red lentils. Also used garlic, onion, lemon juice, zest from lemons, celery or celery leaves, carrots, vegetable broth, or you could use chicken broth, and I used some herbs and spices, so thyme, salt, pepper, and dill. Oregano is also very good in this. And in the middle is the spinach. Now let's get started making this chickpea lemon soup. I set the Instant Pot on high saute for 30 minutes. That'll give us time to cook the entire lemon soup. To my warmed Instant Pot, I added oil and diced onion. Let that become translucent. Then I added garlic cloves, cooked for 30 seconds. Then I added my vegetable broth. Next I added my rinsed and drained chickpeas, my rinsed red lentils, and I stirred to combine. Then I added my carrots and my celery leaves. Next, I stirred that up just to incorporate everything well. Then I added my spices and herbs, the dill, thyme, salt, and pepper, and oregano if desired. And I stirred that to incorporate. Then I simmered for 20 minutes or so. At the end of that, I added 2 cups of chopped spinach. You can also use kale. Stirred to combine. Then I turned the heat off and added lemon juice and a tablespoon of lemon zest. Later I added another tablespoon of lemon juice and the zest of another lemon after tasting. You can set this additional off to the side so that people can customize their soup. We used 300 additional watt hours to cook the lemon chickpea soup. I hope you'll give this hearty soup a try out while you're camping. Enjoy! Thanks for watching.